Hi, friends.
Hi, how are we today?
Happy Wednesday from two extremely overcaffeinated
A
girls.
little bit. It's kind of been a problem for the last little bit, but it's fine. It's so fine. We have a fantastic episode for you today. This is my favorite one that we've filmed so far.
So great.
I feel like I say that every time we film an episode, though.
But no, this
They're all
one's
my
genuinely
favorite.
great.
I really like the message that we're going to aggressively deliver to you today. We have talked about extreme ownership. We're going to kind of build off of that a little bit and get into the nitty gritty about the things that you're actually kind of doing to yourself. So, we're going to kick it off per usual with our nice, aggressive, but effective statement of the day. Today's is you are never going to reach your goals if you cannot control the way that you respond to the things that happen to you, or if you can't own the fact that you're doing it to yourself.
Sit with that.
If you need to listen to it again, press that little rewind button and start her over because she's a good one. There's a lot of power in that statement. I say that after every aggressive but effective statement.
Yeah,
You're doing
no,
this to yourself.
you're doing it to yourself. Ellie just touched on 2 points, but let's start with the things that happened to you and the cards that you were dealt with on the day. I had someone that was complaining to me about just the weather. It was just like the weather was so bad and it was just a gloomy day. I don't want to do anything. And I texted Ellie immediately. I was like, I want to make a podcast on mindset because it was just so negative. I couldn't even do it. I mean, it's just the weather, but it like the way it changes somebody's whole mindset because it's just so gloomy outside, you don't want to do anything, was appalling to me. I was like, you are actively choosing to let this affect the way
Y'all
you
are
breathe.
so pissy for why? For why? And weather is just one example of that. It can be anything that just kind of happens. It's not necessarily in your direct control. Y'all are so cranky for what?
It is how you deal with the cards you are dealt that defines you differently than others. Are you going to sit there and choose to be that negative person? It's will you use it for fuel or will you use it against you? Is kind of the ultimate decision at the end of the day. Extreme ownership. Are you going to own it or are you just going to let it be another cause and effect problem?
Yeah, absolutely. I think weather is just one super small example on a real life application of controlling how you respond to the things that happen to you. I always say you can't necessarily control the things that happen to you, but like I said, you can control what you do with it. You can't necessarily control your feelings, but you can control how you choose to respond to them. You can't necessarily control the tragic things that happen to you in your life because that's just the hard truth is that sometimes unfortunate things happen to people. What are you going to do with it? What do you have the power to do to change the narrative of how that's going to affect your life is the real question.
So we've talked about you're not changing what you're choosing at the end of the day, and this applies to like negativity, toxic people. Like you are actively choosing to have them in your life, and those are cards that you are dealt. And again, it's like, how are you going to play them? Are you going to play them as this is going to affect me negatively, or am I going to flip this and like, oh, I'm going to distance myself from this toxic people because they don't motivate me to reach my goals at all? At the end of the day, it applies here. So many of you complain about them in your life and you just complain. The weather sucks. This person sucks. I hate that this happened to me. This tragic event happened. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I'm just going to sit here. No, what are you going to do about it? Like, are you just going to sit there and just feel miserable with yourself? Or are you going to actually do something with
Well,
it?
the problem is that a lot of people do want to just sit there and be miserable.
Oh,
I'm going to
yeah.
call a lot of you guys out. I think so. This is a really unpopular opinion, and it's kind of an aggressive thing of me to say. I think so many people are actually addicted to the chaos of negativity and just the concept of chaos in general. I think a lot of people are actually drawn to it. I think sometimes people, I don't know if it's that people just want pity from other people. I don't know if it's that people have a hard time, like, how do we even phrase this? Sometimes being at peace and finding peace, it's like an uncomfortable process to get there, and you're comfortable with what you know. Like we've talked about this a lot already in these last couple episodes, is that like what you know is comfortable, so you're more comfortable staying in the chaos. Like it's what you know, so chaos is comfortable to you. You're choosing to stay in the chaos because you're almost addicted to it. Like you're doing it intentionally, maybe not intentionally, but subconsciously you keep going back to it. Like some of y'all are drawn to that shit.
And think about it. I think it's just as human natures, we have like people have addicting personalities where you're just like, I'm addicted to this. And you see it in anything. But when people think of addiction, you just typically go to like alcohol, drugs, and all that good stuff. No, like genuinely think about like the things in your life that's just
Yeah,
addicting to have the
absolutely.
chaos and the negativity and just like, oh, pity me. Like you want the attention. It's addicting to have attention. I'm not going to lie. It's addicting to put the attention on you. It's just like, What are you
Well,
going to
what
do with that?
sucks too is when you're around people that are also equally as negative. So my pity party, you feed off of it and it feeds your pity party, and then our pity party feeds your pity party, and then everyone's just having a big pity party because my life sucks and everything is terrible. Like you guys are choosing that. If you've listened to any of our previous episodes, you know from extreme ownership that you have the opportunity to remove yourself from that. And like you're limitless. The only thing that's holding you back is yourself. What are you going to do to change it? If you're not changing it, you're choosing it. So now that we've talked about all of these concepts already, let's like bring it all back, apply it all at the same time together here. If you're sitting here complaining about negativity and how hard things are for you, or how miserable you are, or how like the cards that you were dealt just suck, but you're not changing it, y'all are you're intentionally staying in your circle of negativity because you want to. If you didn't want to, you wouldn't be doing it. I just want you all to kind of sit there and think on that for a second. You're doing this because you want to, or you don't want peace bad enough to find it.
So this is what I call victim mentality, friends. It's like the point of where we're going to circle back to it because we've talked about it before. It is just where everything bad happens to me. Like people actually do have that mentality where it's just like, oh, I have such bad luck and all this stuff. You are like actively choosing to play the victim in your own life and in other people's life. First of all, why in the world would you want to be known as a victim to anybody? Like, think of the word
Mm-hmm.
victim in general. Like, I don't want to be known as a victim. Like, I don't think that's
No.
attractive in any way at all. So, why are you actively choosing to be a victim to yourself? Like, oh, pity me, or to other people? Like, other people see you, and if you are going to throw yourself a pity party all the time, they're actually going to say, oh, that person's like got a victim mentality.
Well,
Like,
here's the problem that I think it's a couple things. I think one, everyone is too consumed in their own world of self-pity and negativity to notice when other people are being victims. Unless you've kind of removed yourself from that cycle, you're not going to see it in people because you're too busy identifying it in yourself. Actually, you're too busy not identifying it within yourself to change it. Also, self-deception. When you're a victim, you don't realize that you're a victim because you're the victim. Everything else is everyone else's fault, and all you know is to distribute blame. So, like, if you're sitting here and you find yourself feeling like everything has just sucked for you recently and life is not fair and everyone else has it better than you do for whatever reason, think about all of the things that you've been blaming for your feelings of shittiness as of late, and then think about how much of that you can change, and then think about how much of that you brought on yourself. The most successful people in the world still have bad things happen to them. The most successful people in the world still have things that might not be considered fair. The difference is that they use it to their advantage. They don't blame their circumstances. They don't waste their time pointing fingers at other things for their life being hard. They adjust and they move. How are you going to use the things that happen to you to fuel you instead of stopping you? Like if you really want all of the things that are that are going to come with your big goal, if like meeting your big goal has all of these things, success, peace, money, happiness, family stability, all of these things, if you really want all of that, you've got to remove yourself from the bullshit, and it starts with understanding that you're doing that to yourself.
yeah. And let's have an example of that because that's a lot in there. And I think a lot of people don't understand, oh, exactly, like, what do you mean by that? Because it could mean a lot of different things. The first example that pops into my head is like, my friends are so drama. Like, oh my gosh, I can't
Mm-hmm.
stand it because, like, they're just so much drama and I just can't stand them ranting and just complaining. You don't have to listen to them. I'm so sorry. Like, unpopular opinion, you don't have to listen to them.
Mm-mm.
My
No.
favorite one is like, oh, I feel like I'm in between the situation. You are actively putting yourself in between that situation. And let me tell you what happens if you are in the middle of a situation that you don't want to be in, it automatically drains your mood. It drains your mood. You are not in a
Mm-hmm.
good mood. You're not in a good mental space. You are emotionally drained. You just won't feel like yourself. You're going to feel frustrated at those people that you think are your friends. And think about that for a second. No one asked you to be in the middle of that situation. No one asked you to be a part of the drama. No one asked you for your feedback in the drama. If they're ranting, great, listen to it, take it, be a great friend, or at the end of the day, just sorry, I can't deal with that right now. At the end of the day, you have to do it for yourself.
Absolutely.
It's just, I'm sorry, you don't have to be in the middle of a situation that doesn't require you in any way. Meaning, when I say doesn't require you, the two parties are not you. Like, I'm
Mhm.
serious.
Or own the fact that you're responsible for what you put your energy in. So even if it does involve you, you still don't have to deal. Stop apologizing for not carrying burdens that are not yours to carry. If your friend is causing a problem and it's lots of drama and you just are like, I'm so drained, but she won't stop, you have the opportunity to do what needs to be done to stop it. You just won't because you don't want to lose the friend or you're scared you're going to create more drama. Like own that that's lack of ownership right there. Sitting there blaming your toxic friend for your misery in this moment. If you're that miserable, do something about it. When people are showing you their true colors, stop acting like you're colorblind and do something about it. I am so sick of hearing people say things along the lines of like, well, I just don't want to let anything get between the friendship. Or like, I want to stand up for my best friend because it's not fair that she was spoken to that way. Or I da 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 da, and finding an excuse to involve yourself in something that's making you miserable. If you put yourself in that position to be miserable, to be surrounded by the negativity and the drama, you better own it and understand that you have every opportunity to remove yourself from it. And the fact that you're not means that you're doing that to yourself.
I had a situation recently, and I had two friends that were just dealing with drama, and they both came to me for it, and that's so fine. I love them both. And they were like, I don't want you to feel like you're in the middle. And I looked at them and I said, I am purposely not going to put myself in the middle of this because I mentally know I cannot do that because it would just not do well for me. And they were both like, great, got it, understood. It wasn't like they just turned away and said, oh my gosh, Jill, I hate you for not like fixing my problem for me. They're like, no, I totally understand. Like, you need to do that for yourself. So don't think by you standing up for yourself is just going to help you lose a friend. If they're good friends, they're going to
I
understand at
was
the end of
just
the
about
day.
to say the hard thing is that some of y'all are going to have friends that are going to give you pushback about
Yeah.
being selfish with where your energy goes. If your friend is going to make you feel like a bad friend for deciding to protect your peace and not involving yourself in things that don't need your presence, that's not a friend that has your best interest at heart. That's a friend that's selfish. That's a friend that wants justification in their pity party. Misery loves company. Are you going to choose to be company to the misery that's happening around you? Is the question. That's a choice.
And I hope your answer after this episode is no, I will absolutely the hell not. That is just my one wish. And at the beginning of this episode, we talked about two things. And I think we've really hammered on things that happen to you and all of that stuff. If you still need a refresh, I'm more than happy to go rewind. But let's go into the things that you do to yourself because half of the chaos, it isn't even outside cards, it's just internal like chaos that's happening. Like, think
Mm-hmm.
about your brain. Like, your brain's a constant like wheel of like, I don't even know however you think of your brain. I think of my brain as like file folders, and I have like
Mm-hmm.
20,000
Yep.
files and tabs
Yep.
open all of the time. It's just raining chaos. It's like, what am I going to do with this? Like, at the end of the day, am I going to let this just overwhelm me and I'm going to be stressed because this is going on at work, this is going on at school, this is going on with a friend, this is going on at home, like all this stuff? Or am I just going to just take it one thing at a time and what I can do and remove myself from something if it's stressful? How are you going to invest your energy properly is what I want to know. Energy is something I'm like big in. I feel like a lot of the people that are close to me know, like, I refuse to have negative energy around me. They're like, why don't you go to this thing? And I'm like, guys, that's negative energy. Like, the people there
Yep. It's
give
real.
me negative energy and I can't handle
It's
that.
the same thing as vibes. Y'all
Yeah.
get bad vibes from things. Like it's vibes.
Yeah, so your energy impacts the situations that you put yourself in. So just remember that at the end of the day, how you put your energy out and how you receive energy, it affects it all. So like,
Mm-hmm.
if I have all my file folders open and I come to Ellie and I have like just really like negative energy that's breathing off of me, it's going to go to her, and that's just how it goes all the time. But if you just take your file folders and you're like, okay, positive, one thing at a time, I can do this, great, organized, I'm going to invest my energy in the thing that matters most first, then go from there and just go from there. You're going to feel a lot more like at peace and neutral energy and positive, so that when that negative energy comes, you can either have the ability to say no, or it's not going to totally affect your positive or
It's
your,
like
yeah.
playing offense instead of defense.
Yeah.
It's about finding yourself in a position that you don't even need to waste a ton of energy and time fighting off the things because you're so neutralized and because you're so grounded in your positive, calm energy that it's not necessarily causing too big of a problem for you.
And think about this, like your energy is also like the things that happen to you that does affect your energy. And again, like choosing on what you're going to do with that is also going to affect your energy. So example, let's circle back to the situations that don't involve your presence, because we've all been in those where we're just like, oh, we want to help, we want to help, we want to help, but oh
Mm-hmm.
my god, you are stressing me out and I'm going to stress everyone out so much because I am just equally as stressed, so I
Mm-hmm.
might as well make everyone in my life feel miserable and stressed. We've all been there. Like, I mean, we would be
Well,
lying
it's
if we
not
said
intentional. It really isn't
it's not
intentional.
intentional, but you have to recognize that you're doing it at the end of the day, even if it's not intentional. That affects your energy. So if you take that first step in stopping and saying, like, oh my gosh, this situation like actually doesn't involve my presence. My friends like that, or where I just used the example of it didn't involve my presence at all. It was something between the two of them. I was able to take the step back and say, hey, this does involve you two. This is what you both want. Y'all are just gonna have to figure out how to get there because I can't do that for you at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day. And that's just a recognition thing. And the energy comes with after that, after you
Yeah.
just slowly stand up for yourself at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
Absolutely. Another big point that I want to hit on too is that I feel like everyone has kind of heard the saying, you find what you're looking for. Like, you know how when you're playing the slug bug game and then you suddenly start to see a ton of slug bugs and you're like, I've literally never seen so many slug bugs in my life, but it's like you're looking for them. So now you see more of them because you're paying attention to it. You find what you're looking for. What are you looking for? Are you looking for reasons to be upset and miserable at the world? Are you looking for reasons to be angry at everyone around you? Are you looking for reasons to sit in chaos? Is your life too boring and you want chaos to help you be a little bit miserable because peace is uncomfortable? Like, what are you looking for? You attract what you radiate. So this goes two ways. One, you find what you're looking for. If you're seeking it out, you're going to find it. Absolutely going to find it. If I sat here in this chair right now and I was like, okay, we're going to film this episode and then I'm going to go home and I'm going to edit it. If I am looking for ways that Jill messed up when we were recording the episode, I guarantee I'm going to find a ton of them. If I go into editing, on the other hand, with this idea in my head that like I can't wait to go hear what Jill and I had to say when we were behind those microphones and see how we're going to use this to help change people's mentalities, mindsets, maybe even lives, if I have the opportunity to have that big of an impact on somebody someday. You find what you're looking for. If I go into it looking for the great things, I'm going to find the great things. If I go into it looking for things that I'm going to hate, I'm going to find it. You find what you're looking for. Also, again, like I was just saying, you attract what you radiate. So if I'm just like Jill was saying, if she puts out this negative energy into the world, guess what's going to come right back to her?
Negative
More of
shit.
that negative energy. It's up to you to decide what you're speaking into existence, what you're choosing to find, what you're looking for to justify the narrative that you've made up in your head. That's up to you.
Another example of that, like Ellie said it perfectly. Last semester, someone came up to me and we were both just talking and we're like, we feel like sophomore year was boring. We want a little bit more of a chaotic junior year. Did we get a more chaotic junior year? Yes, you better believe we did. And it
Yeah,
was
no time for
it was
boredom.
like chaos to the T. To I was always calling Ellie with something that was happening, and it was insane, wild, crazy. And I did have the mentality. I was like, oh my gosh, cameras are always on me and somebody's trying to prank me. That was just my mentality.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
walk the prank, if y'all know what that is. I thought I was on that show just every day of my life. And it was my mentality. I switched that mentality and I'm at peace. It's like there's just
You find
no
what you're looking for.
chaotic thing, but it happens with that switch. You have to recognize that you need that switch. I kind of just stood up and was like, I am done. I am done
Mm-hmm.
with all of this. This is insane. Like I was constantly calling Liz, my mom, with like just everything that I like was happening. And she's like, this is wild. I was like, yeah. So I finally just had to take that mindset and say, like, I wish I never ever spoke that into existence because I never ever want that to happen again. And I feel just 10 times better. It's almost like a weight was lifted off of
Yeah,
me.
seriously. I'm going to call all of you out really quick.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there are going to be people that are listening to this that are like, well, I know what I'm choosing, and it's not that. I didn't wake up and decide that I just wanted to be in chaos today because nobody wakes up and says, you know what, I'm bored. I want chaos. I'm going to go find it. It's a subconscious thing. It's a what are you used to? What are your habits setting you up for? What have you been choosing? It's kind of an unintentional subconscious. to recognize it and to change it starts with ownership. Let's circle back to Self-Deception really quickly. It's a really, really fabulous book. If you have not read it already, I encourage you to. It's going to open your eyes to a lot of these things, because if you're sitting here giving me an excuse behind the screen, or if you're sitting here justifying why, well, I understand that there are like things that I could do, but nothing that I can do is going to make this situation better. Like, handle your things. All of the objections that you could have to any of these things that Jill and I are talking about right now tell me that you still have yet to have the ability to take ownership of the things that are happening to you. I personally am so fed up with seeing and hearing the people around me act like they're super, super drained and there's just nothing that they can do about it. Here's the thing, guys. If you're drained, it's because you're entertaining what drains you. Um, all of you need to stop acting like the victim in the story that you wrote. Period. End of story. What are you going to do about it?
At the end of the day, guys, it is your responsibility to decide what serves you and what doesn't. I mean, Ellie and I have always said it 20,000 times. Audit your life. Like, seriously, like, we're not joking when we say that. This goes for everything we're talking about at the end of the day.
Yep.
If you audit it, you're going to be able to pick it out. If you keep asking yourself why you feel stuck, like, I guarantee you, I was definitely that girl about a few months ago. I was like, I'm stuck. Y'all are insane for saying all this. Like, trust me, I didn't believe it for a minute, but I just didn't take responsibility for any of it. And I didn't sit there and I was like, oh, I'm actually choosing this. I'm actually choosing it. I needed to change the inputs in my life. I needed to change what I was putting in my life, and I needed to change what I was choosing. It took me a minute to recognize it exactly, and I was listening to everybody telling me that I needed to change this, this, and this, and I was like, oh, you're stupid for that. You're actually stupid for that. What did I do? Change it.
I feel like I'm really coming for a lot of people's throats behind this microphone today. Something that I just kind of want y'all to leave with today is that if you are stuck in misery, there's a good chance there's a common denominator to your misery, and it's you. And before you sit there and say, no, it's not, it's my friends, do you have to still be friends with them? Because last I checked, you can walk away from any friendship at any point in time if it's no longer serving you. Y'all need to get comfortable standing your ground and owning that you don't want to do things that aren't serving you or protecting your peace anymore. If there's a common denominator to your misery, it's you. What are you going to do about it? It's kind of aggressive, kind of blunt, but I mean, seriously, Jill was so right. Audit your energy this week. What are unnecessary things that you are putting a lot of time and your energy into that are setting you up for failure, that are draining you, that are making you sit stuck in this toxic negative spiral? It's only setting you up for failure. Cut the dead weight, because you're not going to meet the big goals if you're spending too much of your time during the day complaining about how your toxic friends are holding you back. End of story.
I'm being so serious, guys. It starts with you. Like, I think a lot of people are like, these things just need to change on their own. Actually, no, you can make those changes.
Ownership. We've already talked about this.
I want to circle back. If y'all follow us on Instagram, we are great. We posted Kendrick Lamar. I have an obsession with Kendrick Lamar. I hope it's kind of unhealthy. It's really unhealthy, but like, I'm like, how iconic are you to make a diss track, then win 5 Grammys, and then stand up on national television and diss them live and have their ex-girlfriend on stage? You are iconic. Like, I'm shaking. You're so iconic.
Shit I would do.
What did he do? He took the step and he got rid of the negative energy. Drake was the negative energy to this man. And what did he do? He put a stop to it. I'm not saying go out and make a diss track and do all that. If you want to, great, go ahead, enjoy. But the man stood up and said, I am done with this negative energy. I refuse it. Here's what I'm going to do. And boy, did he really.
Who dropped the last diss track? Was it Drake that dropped the last one?
I don't know.
I was really invested in this over the summer.
Probably.
Maybe Kendrick didn't put a stop to it if he was the one still putting out diss tracks. Technically, he was feeding into it. So if Drake like kept putting him out and Kendrick stops, then he's a great example of how to like stop dealing with things that don't serve you.
We're just gonna act like Kendrick got the first laugh, okay? We're just gonna act like it.
For the sake of the story and ending on a great note with a great example, Kendrick had the last laugh. Or no, Kendrick put a stop to it. Chose to remove himself because it wasn't serving him anymore.
Go stream Not Like Us. It's phenomenal.
And go follow us on Instagram if you're not already. We post some really fun things like Kendrick on there. It's a great time. Jill just posted a day in her life yesterday when y'all are listening to this. It's a great time over there. We want to interact with you guys. Let us know what questions you have about any of this. Let us know if there are any snags that you're struggling with, anything that you feel like is holding you back. We'll sit here and give you some more aggressive advice to cut the bullshit, cut the excuses.
We're here for you. Remember
Absolutely.
that. We are not here for us. We are here for you, and we want to prove that. Please DM us. Please comment. Whatever you need. We are here in your back corner. We love you, and we are here for you on this journey. Till next time.
See you Sunday.
Bye.